Welcome to another episode of Before You Kill Yourself with your host, Leo Flowers. Today's episode is brought to us by BetterHelp, Help. It's exactly what you would write in the sand if you were stuck on an island, right? Help. And then you see the helicopter go by, you start waving. BetterHelp is that helicopter. They are the ones that will save you, they will pick you up. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? I know for me, it's been a sense of feeling inadequate or afraid of expressing my needs. Because, like, if I express my needs and they say no and they find out what I really want, they're going to leave and I'll be abandoned and I have to start all over again. And also just comparing myself to other people. Every time I compare, I get on social media and I see the amazing life that other people are living. It just makes me want to just curl up and stop doing everything that I'm doing. But BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating in under 48 hours. Now, I understand when you are in despair and you are spiraling, you just feel like the last thing I want to do is talk to anybody, but it's the best thing to do. When I was in trouble, when I couldn't see my way through the thickness, through the darkness, it was talking to someone, especially a professional therapist that guided me through. I still have a therapist. I have not only my own therapist, but I have a couples therapist. So me and my girlfriend have a therapist. Like, therapy, talking to someone is so beneficial, but it doesn't feel like it when you're in the midst of it. Now, I want you to remember that it's not a crisis line. BetterHelp is not self-help. It is professional counseling done securely online. BetterHelp is not the right solution for you if you have thoughts of hurting yourself or others. There is a broad range of expertise available, which may not be locally available in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account anytime and send a message to your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, so you won't ever have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. You could kick back at the crib, at your house, in su casa, and get your therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches so they can make it easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling. And here's the kicker, ladies and gents. Financial aid is available. That's right. But you don't have to go to college. College ain't the only one doling out financial aid. BetterHelp has financial aid because BetterHelp wants you to start living a happier life today. Visit their website and read their testimonials that are posted daily, right? Check them out. Visit betterhelp.com/Leo. That's right, I got a slash before the name. Go to betterhelp.com/Leo. That's better, HELP, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. In fact, so many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. Special offer. Here's a special offer. Check this out. This just came in just now. Special offer for my Before You Kill Yourself listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Leo. That's right. Just for tuning in, just for being a friend, an ally, just somebody who I enjoy spending my time with. 10% off your first month if you go to betterhelp.com/Leo. Let's go. Today's guest is Terrence Dunkerly, who is the host of Don't Man Up podcast. And today he's going to share with us his story of how his dad ended his life when he was 9 and how he managed to get through it. You know, he was bullied in high school, and then he found his voice, he found his power and his strength towards the end of high school. And we figure out how he did that. He talks about how his parents dealt with his dad ending his life. And then, you know, through all those struggles and he was getting not the best grades, Somehow he becomes an aerospace engineer. So this is a great story, beginning, middle, end. He gets married. He has 2 kids. I don't even want to tell you the whole thing, but we get into how he manages his emotions. He has 2 techniques that help him stay grounded that I wrote down, and it's kind of validated some things that I was already doing, but it really brought home the importance of these skills that he shares, or strategies, I should say. And then also we talk about trust and how hard it is to trust, and how he is managing trust in his relationship. He's managing his feelings of inadequacy while raising his daughters. And we're also talk about sleep because he works some crazy hours. So we know all these things tie together. And obviously we get into so much more. But and if you have not yet, go to thrivewithleo.com for one-on-one coaching with yours truly, where I share my self-soothing techniques and coping strategies for managing emotions and those moments where I feel overwhelmed. I didn't do a good job yesterday. I'm gonna be upfront. Yesterday, I was feeling a bit overwhelmed with all the things that I'm doing, and I had a bunch of I just binge ate all the things from ice cream to donuts to I forget what else it was. Uh, and I say good, and I realized that by saying good, I'm passing a judgment on what I've done. So it was an ineffective way of managing my emotions yesterday, and I realized I just could have done nothing, and just giving myself permission at times to do absolutely nothing, or to even share with friends what I was feeling, which I didn't do. I just isolated myself and was trying to manage my emotions myself, which, as we talk about, we can't always do. So I think it's always important to share that with you all. So because it'd be very easy to think that because I have this podcast and I have access to all these different people that I'm just on it 100% of the time, and I struggle. I have my struggles also, and but the important thing is that not only do we struggle, but that we share our struggles so that we don't feel like we're alone in this, and that's what's important. So I appreciate you for listening to my struggle, and I encourage you to also share what you're going through also with someone who will listen, or just write it in your journal if you feel like you don't have anyone. That works just as well. All right. With that said, let's jump into the episode. What's up, brother?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm good, man. I got my green tea. I got my workout in. Got a few steps in. I'm
Same. I'm just ready to go work as well after this. So,
are you now? What time is it where you are?
6 p.m.
Oh my God! So are you winding down, or are you one of those late night workouters?
No, I'm winding down, but I've got to go to my full-time job in about 3 hours. So it's one of them. It's like, crazy.
Now, yeah, what's your full-time job?
I'm an engineer.
What? So you work the night shift?
Yeah, well, it's every 3 weeks, so I do like a shift rota every 3 weeks, so it's not too bad.
But that's got to jack up your sleep cycle, I imagine.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I try to tell people, I always go make sure you try and get at least 6 to 8 hours sleep a night. Make you feel good. Get a cold shower as soon as you get up, and then I'm like, oh shit, I've got to go work today.
Holy man, I used to work graveyard, and that was the worst. I mean, it didn't matter if I got my 6 to 8 hours. It's just that staying up late, and then I remember
100%.
3 a.m. was always the hardest hour to stay up. No matter what I did, no matter how much sleep I got the day of or the day before, 3 a.m. always sucked. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, 100%. Between 3 and 5, it's like, oh, I'm hanging here. It's like I'm watching a machine going around. It's like I'm gonna fall asleep here.
Yeah. My body starts shaking, convulsing, like it's literally fighting sleep. It's so
Yeah, exactly.
interesting.
Everyone's the same. It's crazy, isn't it?
Now, did you go to school for engineering?
No, actually, I didn't. I went to school for website design and stuff like that first. Then I went into catering after school, and then I left catering management, and I went into security and being a bouncer. So I've done all different kinds of things. I started off in this company where I'm working now as literally rock bottom labourer, and I did in-house training with them and worked my way up to being an aerospace engineer, so it's not too bad.
My God, man, you would think with all the brains that you have being in aerospace, you could pick your own hours, but damn.
I know, you just can't know. I know loads of people say it all the time, like, surely you can do this and surely you can do this, and I'm like, no, you can't. Literally, my work's like you have to this 3 shift patterns and that's it.
Now, you're in London, right? What part of the UK are you in, and where were you born?
I'm in Yorkshire near Manchester. Yeah, so it's a bit north than London and stuff. So it's quite. I love Yorkshire.
Now, I don't know how close this is to you because I can't remember. Me and my girl were just watching a Netflix documentary about what's the sport that's played annually, and it's like rugby, but you can punch each other in the face.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know much about it to be fair, because that's a bit down south towards. I forgot where it is now. Yeah, it's about 2 hours from me. That's
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's in France. Actually, that's my bad. It's I don't even think it's in UK. I think it's unless there's a version of it in the UK.
Yeah, there's a version in the UK, and all the local town plays it, and there's like thousands of people just trying to get this ball from one end of town to other. Wow. It's mad.
Well, Terrence, I'm excited to have you on because you're the founder of Don't Man Up, and I love that concept. As soon as I saw it on Instagram and we started corresponding, I was like, I got to talk to you just based off of that. Can you talk to us about what that's about and how that started for you?
What it was, I've been through loads of stress and everything, like loads of ups and downs. My father passed away when I was like 9. He committed suicide and took his own life. And just working around some people, and all you getting told as a man, is especially where I'm from, around Yorkshire area, it's like you sit there and think, oh, I can't be bothered. I've just got no motivation. I've not got this. I'm just not feeling it today. And literally, everyone from family to work colleagues all sit there and say, just man up, just man up and get on with it. And even my ex-partner, before we went through a divorce, I went to her and told her, spilled beans how I was feeling, and she's the same. She's like, well, you just got to get on with it, ain't you? And it was like, I'm fed up of people saying to people, and I listen to it still at work, some people, cause like the old generation was like, oh, you've got to man up. And I was like, no, you don't man up. Because if you man up, and that's when you go and do silly stuff, and you need to speak up about your mental health issues and stuff. And it's just, that's when I just sat there and thinking, I need to do something and raise more awareness on the concept. And that's when I was like, right. And I did a bit of research, and nobody seemed to be doing the don't man up kind of movement, I like to call it. So I thought, yeah, that's what I'm going to run with, and that's what's just took off really in the last couple of weeks. So it's been pretty good.
I love that idea. I mean, you're 9 years old. Your dad ends his life, and I'm sure that, like, how did you see that your mom handled that? Was she kind of stoic throughout the whole thing, or how did you see her respond to that?
It was quite poor, to be fair, because, well, I say quite poor. Like, she really did take it hard on herself. I mean, I watched my mum, as soon as she heard the siren from an ambulance, she started crying and had a meltdown. And it was just a bit like, you're watching it and it's just like, at 9 years old, you don't quite understand what's happened. But you see your parent, well, one parent's gone and another parent, you see her descending into depression and stuff. And it's just, it was hard to take. It were really hard.
How did you process that? I mean, was there any counseling for you? Did you color? How did you interpret the event?
There was no counselling. There was no counselling offered. It were a bit one of them where you're like, I didn't know how to deal with it at 9 years old. If you know what I mean, you just got no counselling offered. You talked to your parent, my mum, about it, and she was like, she didn't understand because she was going down to, well, now I understand how depressed she got with it. But I don't think I handled it well at all. I think at 9 years old, growing up as well, I think I just put it more to back of my mind as it's happened in the past, I need to look to my future kind of thing. But then when I started going down to depression, that's when it started coming back up when I had my children as well, thinking, well, if my dad didn't think he was good enough, then I'm not going to be good enough. And it just went from there, really. It's just all sort of come back up again.
You know, I've read that a lot of parents, part of post-traumatic depression for women, but also for men after they have the baby, is that all those insecurities and fears that they had suppressed as a kid start to resurface. Because like you said, you start to think, am I going to be like my father? And if my father would, you start comparing your parents to yourself. And in some cases, people will course correct where they will do the exact opposite of what their parents did. It's like if their parents were always around, then they're never around. Or if they were never around, they're always going to be around. Did you find yourself swinging the pendulum in any direction?
I'd say I wanted to be around all the time because my dad wasn't really alive. We were like, the memories I've got is he was always trying to build a better life for us, like working all the time. He was trying to do a business and stuff like that, and he tried to provide us a nice lifestyle. So I barely really got to see him that much when he was working. I think I saw him a couple hours on a weekend, if that. So when I had my children, it was like, right, I want to be there for everything. No matter what it is, I'm going to be there. So that's the kind of way I went. So it was just about, just a bit weird with that one, I suppose.
So looking back, do you imagine then that your father may have felt overwhelmed by all the things he was trying to do and being a provider? Or was there other confluencing factors?
100%, I think he got overwhelmed. Doing what I've looked at in the last, I'd say, 6 months with life coaching and listened to a life coach, what I invested money in. He says it exactly how I think it were. He got overwhelmed in one side, then he got his burnout from working all the time on the other side, and it just collided and exploded in the middle. I think that's what's happened, to be fair. That was what happened to him. And it's something what people need to try and avoid doing, and you still need to take that time out. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, even now, especially, during this quarantine, I feel myself wanting and trying to do more than I can handle emotionally, not physically. It's not just the physical part. There's an emotional part to it also. I have to pull myself back sometimes, and it's hard because you're like, the sun is still out. So I always feel like if the sun is out, I should be productive and doing things, and and not having compassion for myself and just saying, hey, you've done enough for the day, or at least for now you can take an hour break or a half hour break. It's like I had more breaks when I had a job than
100%. Yeah, I agree with that completely.
So, you know, when you look back, I would imagine at that age to have something like that happen, there's usually like a reaction from the kid. How did the kids at school know? Did they find out, or was there a response from that?
During we call it, I don't know what you'd call it in America, like the junior school, when you're up to 11 years age, you go to like over it's a primary school.
Oh yeah,
But
middle school.
like middle school, yeah. When my dad passed away, we stayed around that local area for a couple of more months, but then we moved to the other end of the city. So then I moved to another school, which they didn't really know anything like the kids. So I basically didn't even tell the kids then, because then we went to secondary school, which is like your version of high school in America. That's when I started being a bit more kind of open about it. But kids are heartless, man. I mean, as soon as some found out, I got bullied about it, and I literally had the kids laughing in my face, saying, "Hey, your dad took his own life. You did it because of you," and all this, and it makes you feel like shit during school. And that's how kids are, I suppose. But there's no excuse for kids behaving like that. But I got bullied for it in like high school, secondary school, but during middle school, junior school, no one really knew about my history and my past or all that, and that's how I kept it during that.
Man, that has to be awful. And I mean, did you ever go to the teachers or the adults? What was their response to that?
Yeah, 100%. I went to teachers a couple of times, and they tried pulling the kids in. It's school over here in England. Like when I was growing up, it was like a lion's den. As soon as you went and tell the teacher, then yeah, fair enough, they got isolation or whatever, took out of the class for a couple of days and put back in. But as soon as people found out you get snitched on a teacher, that were it. You were blackballed to be anyone would come and get you. It was quite a rough school, to be fair. So yeah.
It's crazy because, you know, when we as Americans think about England, we think about, you know, how posh it is and well mannered, and everybody knows what fork to use. And
yeah, I know.
And there's a very dark side to England. Yeah,
100%. I think probably with that, I think the TV portrays us as this nice nation, what are open arms and welcoming to anybody. But deep down in the lower ends of society, if that's kind of the right word, they're like the poorer ends, the more deprived. It is like a man for man situation.
Now, did you have siblings growing up?
Yeah, I had two older sisters.
Wow. Now, do you feel like that made it easier or tougher? Because two older sisters, I imagine, could be very nurturing or very just abuse. Like it could go like extremes in either direction.
Yeah, they weren't too bad, to be fair. I mean, my sisters sort of went and did their own things while I did mine. I think being the younger child, it was a bit more like, I think they got offered a bit more help through other family and friends rather than me being the youngest. So, I'd say me, not my oldest sister, but me middle-aged sister, because I'm the youngest of three. I think she was a bit more supportive, but the older one, I think she took it a lot harder than what people really anticipated. So she just like kind of secluded herself in her own little environment. So it was a bit, yeah.
Wow. It sounds like everybody was basically secluding themselves within one household. It's like you have four people living under one house, but all living very separate lives.
Separate lives. Yeah, 100%. That's how it went. How it went.
And so like you're being bullied in middle school, and it carries on through high school.
Yeah.
What was there saving grace anywhere in there? Were there like a group of friends that you started to make, or the thing that you joined? What was keeping you going during that time?
I made a quite a good close club of sorry, some of my words then. I made a good close group of friends, which were like 3 or 4 people. I'm still talk to them, like even up to today. We've never fell out. We've always stayed around. But the one thing what kept me doing is especially when I turned 14, I had this target in my head that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. And that's what I focus all my attention on, going to the gym, getting in shape, getting athletic, and just basically saying, that's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. And it was like, now I think about it, and like when I tell people now, and my life coach told me, like, you need to have a focus. I think that's what I aim to do. I focused on being the professional wrestler when I wanted to do that. And that's all I was aiming to focus on. And I surrounded myself with a group of close friends what had the same kind of ambitions. So they supported me quite well through that. So that was pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah, did you get into did you get into a lot of fights, or was there like I mean, even before the wrestling, or were you just mostly getting beat up, or were you starting to like pick fights and fight back at any point?
In school, in the first couple of years of high school, I wasn't really fighting back. I was just taking it, and I was a bit like, yeah, it's happening. I can't fight back because I'm not strong enough. I'm not this, because I was quite a skinny kid in school. So I didn't really try and fight back. And then I moved secondary schools, or high school, sorry. And I just went into that new high school and said, I'm not going to stand for this no more. I'm not going to sit and get bullied. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to let kids take advantage. And then I think within the first week of this new high school, this kid tried taking, it was something silly, like he took my pen off me. And I thought, I'm not having that. And I stood up and ended up like, I started a fight women's class, and it just went from there, really. So it was kind of mixed in. During the last year of high school, that's when I started thinking, man, if I could keep going down this path of fighting anybody what says anything wrong to me, I'm going to end up on a really bad path in life, which I don't want to do. So I need to get away from that situation. That's when I started again. If anyone said I'd just walk out of class and then I'd go down to school gym, or I'd go and see a teaching assistant or something and just get out of that environment.
Man, first of all, I want to applaud you for, at such a young age to have that kind of awareness. And it's a lesson, because I want the listeners and I want the people to know that when kids are fighting, a lot of the times, most kids, there's a lot of them don't want to fight. A lot of them
100%.
have been bullied either by their parents or by other people, and they're reacting, and they don't know anything else. Oftentimes, I used to work in a group home, and you see this especially with teenage boys, where the boy who was winning the fight, he's on top, he's pummeling the other kid, would start crying. Not the kid who was getting beat up, but the kid who was beating the other kid up, and oftentimes it was because he didn't want to fight, but he felt that he had to fight. And it was a great lesson for me early on, in terms of having compassion for people and not just seeing someone who throws a fist as someone who's violent and aggressive, but somebody
100%.
who is trying to work through their emotions.
Yeah, 100%. It's like, especially over here where I'm from, up north in England, it's quite a working class area. It's like you got your steelworks, you had your mines, your coal mines, your pits, and it was like growing up and talking to some of the people a bit older than me. It was like, if you got hit by a kid on the street, if a kid come up and just punched you, if you went home to your parents and said, crying, saying, "Oh, this kid beat me up," you get sent back out. And a lot of people I talk to against, like, who's like 35, 40 years old, so it's the same thing. If they went home when they were younger and told their mum or dad that a kid had hit them on the street, their parents would say to them, well, if you don't go back out and hit that kid, then I'm going to hit you kind of situation. Not like a full-on punch from parents, but they're going to get a clip off the parents and get sent back out anyway. So, like, I think kids from where I'm from, like 30 to 40 years old, were like, I've got to go and fight to defend myself, or it kind of raises that thought in the head, I kind of believe. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. It's like you're damned if you do, damned if you
Damned
don't.
if you don't. Yeah, 100%.
So after now, how were your grades? How were you performing academically in school, in high school?
In the subjects, what I was actually interested in, I kind of did all right. I said kind of. I used to truant a lot. I didn't attend as much as I should have. My attendance were literally like, I think it was about 70% at school term I'd attend. Other than that, I'd like truant and just go off on myself and just go for massive walks during the school day, or sit at home and pretend I'm ill and play PlayStation all day, which is it's not the right thing to do now. You look back. But my grades in school, especially in like your core subjects, which I completely regret, like my maths, my English, my ICT, which is computers, my design and technology, which is funny now because engineering, I kind of just flunked it, and it was just one of these, I just want to get out of school, I don't care kind of situations.
That is interesting, and how the grades that we achieve is not a reflection of what we'll become and who we are, or even what our aptitude
No,
is.
100%.
When did you start to get a passion and love for the sciences?
It was kind of when I've left school. I were going to join the military at first, and then it was my mum what actually like begged me not to go because all the conflict what started happening around 2001 time with Iraq and stuff. So she was like, please don't join. Please don't join the infantry. And I was like, well, okay, so what else am I gonna do? And I knew that I was interested in the IT side of things and engineering. So that's when I was like, well, if I go to more the website design kind of way, and then surely that's going to progress into other avenues. So that's what I started. That's when I was like 16, 17 years old. When you leave high school in the UK, it was like, yeah, that's what I need to start doing now. And that's when I started taking more of an interest in actually knuckling down and studying, and realised when I saw my grades from high school, I was like, oh man, I really flunked it. So
I know, I kind of was similar to you, where I graduated high school with barely a 2.0, and then high school 2.0, then college with a 3.0, and then grad school with a 3.4 or 5 or something. So it's like, as I got older, I became more and more interested in academics, but as you get older, you get to study more of what you want to study versus what's being fed to you. So you're more passionate about it, so you put more into it.
Yeah, 100% agree with that completely. I find that same scenario.
So you all right, so how old are you now?
I'm 33 now.
All right, 33 now, and you have 2 kids? How many kids?
Yeah, 2 kids, 2 little girls, age 6 and 4.
Wow. Well, congratulations, first of all. And so I would imagine you're growing up in a household where there's tons of isolation between the family members. You're being bullied at school, and you have a small pocket of friends. And then for your father to end his life, I would imagine trusting people was very challenging for you, and that would spill over into relationships. How did you navigate learning how to trust, or what were the emotional challenges with dating, getting married, and then where you are now?
Oh man, I find it very hard to trust anybody. I always have done. But it kind of just like the mother of my children. it was kind of one of them scenarios where we were still quite young. I think I was 21, 22 when I met her. She was about 18, so it was like, and it just kind of, we started off just like hanging out, just going for random drives. And then it just kind of built up the trust. And she knew that she knew that the trust was hard for me, but she put a lot of effort into it at the time. So it kind of took a few years to fully comprehend the trust, what I finally got for her. So that happened. So then it was good. So then we made it an official relationship after like 6 months or whatever it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then, then we decided to then we decided to ask her to marry me, do the right thing. We had kids together. But then where I am now is obviously the marriage has ended. There's altercations behind that where like the trust started dropping again, and the marriage just ended there. And I'm now with a new partner who's been amazing. She understands fully with the mental health issues. She's amazing with my kids. She supports everything what I'm doing with this don't man up stuff, and she did the same kind of. She's been through her own mental health issues, so it's been she knows and understands. And she's quickly with my trust rather than having to work with it. So it's been pretty good where I am now. So I'm in a positive place with her. So it's good.
I love this. And so when you said earlier about, having 2 daughters is bringing up some of the inadequacy issues and old emotions that you try to suppress. How are you working through those? What are you doing actively? What are some actionable things that you're doing to cope with that?
I write down every day in a journal. I do every day. I do one win. I do 3 wins every day. It's 1 win regarding my child, 1 win regarding my relationship, and 1 win regarding my work life. So all I do is set small targets for every 90 days of what I want to achieve with my children. And that's what I keep targeting every 90 days. I have every beginning of every month, say I set my 90 days for 3 months from the 1st of October or whatever it were. Every month on the 1st, I look back and review my target, and it's only small steps each time. But then I always keep in touch with my children's school, make sure they're progressing well in the school, and I just keep reassuring myself that my children at the moment, in the education-wise, are doing tremendously. My children in the personal life are developing amazingly. They really are sociable young children compared to what I were. So as long as I keep focusing myself on writing 1 win from my children down each day in my journal, I keep looking back at that even when I start feeling like, I'm not going to be good enough dad again. I'm not good enough for my children. I look back at the wins, what we've achieved together, and I realise that actually, we're doing a brilliant job as a dad. We're doing a brilliant job as parents. So that's what I do. I write 1 win with my children down every day.
And are you writing that? Are you doing that online in a notebook? Are you doing
in a notebook?
And then it was right before bed in bed? What does that look like?
I do it every morning or when I wake up, depending on what shift I'm on. I do it every morning so I can reflect on the previous day, but then it also gives me something to smile about the same day I wake up. And I always write it on a pen and paper in a notebook rather than on my phone, so I can see it actually me writing it down, because it's like an achievement then rather than just seeing it on your screen.
And so you got your wins. You're setting a 90-day plan or goal. Can you give us an example of what your 90-day goal is for now, if it's not too personal?
Yeah. My 90-day goals at the moment are, I've got 4 at the moment. I want to lose 2 stone within another 90 days because my weight's ridiculous at the moment. So my 90-day target is 2 stone, which I'm already a month in, and I've already lost 1.5. It's to send my daughters. I've got to send them 30 appreciation messages in 90 days. So it's like one every 3 days. I send them 30 appreciation messages. I'm also making sure I focus my like reading and concentration on at least reading one new book in that 90 days. And I also make sure with my daughters that this is another win with my family kind of scenario, that I make sure I'm having at least 3 good days out with them, even if it's just a nature walk or something like that. But during that as well, we're going to be talking about the bugs, the insects, the trees, the leaves. So it's giving them some knowledge as well. So as long as the target is to have fun, but knowledgeable fun with my children, where they can actually memorize it, then that's a win.
Oh my God, I love those. You just inspired me. You know what I actually did is, and I haven't even used them yet.
Yeah.
Is I bought certificates of completion.
Yeah.
So that when I accomplish something like a 90-day target or 30-day, I can, like you said, so you can see it and put it up on your wall.
Physical reward.
Yeah. It's like
100%.
We're always like waiting for someone else to give us a ribbon or a trophy, but we can give that to ourselves.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's key to like changing mindset from being where you are when you're in the depth of depression. I think you've got to realize when you need to reward or praise yourself as well, so you can see it physically.
Now, you talked about sleeping, and you're working a graveyard shift and how it throws you off. Do you have a sleep routine?
I don't really have one as to say I have this and do this and do this, but as long as I have a minimum of 6 to 8 hours a day, I feel like that's going to be a pretty good achievement for me. Now, there's some days, obviously, working a graveyard shift, like you'll know in the past, where you'll go to sleep and 3 hours later, you'll have roadworks outside the house, and that blows it off completely. But as long as I have at least 6 hours, have a cold shower after I get up, that's me good to go.
I love it. And so now let's get more into this Don't Man Up and more into the details of it. Like, who is participating in this? Who do you want to who is this program for? And what can they expect?
Originally, I started off just trying to aim it at men, because obviously looking at in the UK, the suicide rate, 75% of all suicides are men. So one of them where like I want to target that working class men, just like myself, what the kind of people are getting told to man up all the time. So that's why I started off with the listen, you don't need to man up, you need to speak up more. It's nothing to be ashamed of now. But as it's gone on, I've got a good percentage of men and women now coming to me messaging me for advice and stuff as well. So then I've looked more into like the women's side statistic as well, the female side. And what I saw was more women self-harm and have suicidal thoughts than men, but more men follow through with suicide than women. So it was like oh shit, man, I need to open this up to everybody rather than aiming it at one certain group. So now it's literally I'm aiming it at men and women, because women get told to just to man up as well. Like my partner, she said to me over there, like when she used to work, and people say, "Oh, just need to man up and get on with it, don't you?" And just do your job as a woman. It's ridiculous, to be fair. So I'm aiming at men and women, and especially I'm trying to get more towards young people, because the statistic what I found over there was 51% of 18 to 24-year-olds what got surveyed are embarrassed about having mental illness, so won't seek help. So now it's kind of gone from middle-aged men to now this is a bigger problem than just middle-aged men taking their own lives. This is like it's like a pandemic, if you want to say that word. It's every 40 seconds, I think World Health Organization, every 40 seconds someone takes their own life. So now it's more like a campaign to raise an awareness for everyone rather than just one demographic of society. So it's gone pretty well, to be fair. And the Don't Man Out podcast, originally, again, it was like I'll share my story on it. I'll try and share some advice on it. But during the last couple of weeks, especially during the last week or so, when people's been messaging me, it's kind of, I'm more aiming it towards like an open forum where people can come on and talk about their experiences and share their stories. So rather than having a well-known person or whoever on it talking about their story, because it's not kind of relatable as much as to a working class person, as well as I can have a working class person down the road who can't afford a therapist, who can't afford a gym membership, come on and talk about their side of the story as well. So that's what I'm aiming for now. So it's going quite well. I've got a couple of interesting stories coming up, so it's pretty good.
You know, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because I too have realized that, like, you know, I've had some New York Times bestselling authors and other high achieving guests, but the most impactful stories and the ones I get the most messages about are the working class people because their emotions are raw. They don't have sound bites. They're not worried about an image. They are just telling you their full, raw, unadulterated story. And exactly. And they get into the details of it. They don't leave anything out for the most part. I mean, everybody leaves something out, but you're right. It you can connect more and empathize more and relate more to a working class person than someone who
100%. And I do always think it is still nice to have that high achiever come out and say it as well, because then you look at it and think, oh well, maybe if they've got it. Say like there's a well-known boxer in world champion Tyson Fury. I think he inspired a lot of people to come out, and he come out and admitted that he had mental health issues and he had weight gain and he went to depths of depression. I think that inspired a lot of more like the odd men kind of people sides come out and start speaking about it as well. So I do think it helps having the high achievers, but again, like you said, the working class people seem to connect more with your audience. So that's what I've started aiming for more.
And when you are reaching out to these people and connecting with them and talking to them, what are some of the things you said? It's not about manning up; it's about speaking up. What are some other things that you want people to take away from the podcast and from what you're about?
I want people to take away that it's not all about being happy. Like you hear some podcasts. I've listened to a couple of podcasts from some other people, and it's being like, oh, I've done this and I've cured my mental health and I've done this, and it's like, no. I strongly believe mental illness, once you've developed it, because I think it is developed, that it's not curable. It's just about how you manage it, and you need to manage it in a better way than letting that control you. Because if you let that control you, then that's when you go down to deep depths of that dark well, what I talk about a lot. I refer to it as a dark well. So as long as people get from my start side and my guest side that no matter how far you go down, if you can manage your mindset and depression and anxiety well, and then anything's achievable after that, to be fair.
I love that idea that it's not about getting rid of it. It's about managing it. There's so many books out there that are like how to be fearless, how to get rid of your anxiety, how to get rid of depression. And it's impossible. It's a part 100%. Of humanity. It's a part of the human experience. And in some ways, having fear, having depression, having anxiety, there are very healthy coping mechanisms. It's not
Yeah.
that there's something inherently wrong with being sad or being depressed. I mean, if your dad has passed away or ended his life,
Yeah.
then you should have a window to feel depressed, to feel
Yeah.
hurt, to feel those things.
100%.
And so it's about, like you said, managing it and figuring out how to channel it. Like you channeled it into wrestling. You took that
Yeah.
energy that you had and you put it into something constructive versus destructive.
Yeah, 100%. And it's kind of scenario I touched on with my new partner. I said the first, I think I've only done like 3 episodes of podcast so far, but the first 3 are like, it seems like, I said to her, it seems like I'm just like, I'm cured, blah, 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 and it's not coming across like that. So I said, when I do have a dark day and a sad day, which I still have every like few months, I went, I'm going to start doing that as like a bonus podcast so people still know that even so, you are climbing that ladder to get out of that well. You still sometimes can take a step back, and that's okay. As long as you refocus your mind, you have that dark day, refocus your mindset again, and start climbing again. Just don't keep falling down. So that's what I'm aiming to do as well. So
you talked about don't man up, speak up. It's so hard for men and women. It's just hard for people in general to share their emotions and how they feel. What's the challenge for you? You have your girlfriend, you have your 2 daughters. Those times when when your wife or your girlfriend does say something that hurts you, that is, I mean, and people don't always do these things intentionally. It's just that we have our own sensitivities. How do you address that? How do you say, hey, what you said hurt me, or how do you address those moments?
No, me and my new partner, we're completely upfront and honest with each other. If we say something what the other didn't agree with, we 100% would just tell each other straight away, like, well, no, that's not right. That's not how it is. What you said just upset us, to be fair. And because we're both been through the mental health and both are coming out the other side, we both kind of understand instantly what each other's thinking. And it's kind of a weird scenario, to be fair, because a lot of people, if their partner says something what they don't like, they kind of just bottle it up and they keep bottling it up until they have one big argument and it all comes out, and then they bring stuff up what they said 6 months ago. So this is something what me and my partner agreed we shouldn't do straight away. And we were like, look, if one of us says something what the other don't agree with or hurts the other, we need to say it there and then, and we need to come up with a plan to settle that there and then.
And can you give us an example of a moment of that, or you don't remember?
I don't remember many occasions where we've like had a bit of a disagreement or someone said something what's each other. We've been quite plain sailing, to be fair, so it's quite good.
I love it. When people experience a divorce, it's very unmanning especially for men. How did you handle that period of going through the divorce and then actually being divorced? Were you and your girlfriend be together before the actual divorce, or was there a window where you kind of felt undone?
No, when my ex-wife first told me like she wanted to separate, I still ended up living in the same household as her for a couple of months before I decided like, look, this isn't going to work. I need to move out. So I went and got a bed set. It was literally like I didn't even have a separate bedroom to my kitchen, my bedroom with the kitchen and living room in the kitchen and all that. But then I ended up moving in with my sister. I think my sister knew I was going down worse and getting bad, so my sister said, look, come and move in with me for a bit. So I moved in with my sister. But during the initial stages when my ex-wife first told me that she wanted to follow through with the divorce and it sent me so far down that well. I think you feel like you failed as a dad, as a parent, as an husband. It just comes out, and I tried to block it out by saying, yeah, it's for best, and in front of my mates and in front of my work colleagues, I was like, yeah, it's for best, don't worry about it. But deep down, I knew that I were hurt inside, but I didn't want to. Again, this is I was manning up rather than speaking up about it. And I covered it. I've covered it in my first podcast. I covered it in gambling, drink, watching porn, being a class clown at work. I was just a prick to be around sometimes. But when I found my partner, when I got with my partner, now the divorce still wasn't finalised, and she understood this, and we talked about it numerous times, but she drove me to get through that last few months of the divorce, to be thinking, well, look, think positive about the future rather than you need to release that past and look forward to the future rather than trying to hold on to the past when you know it's not, the past isn't going to come back. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be forever grateful that my new partner's helped me through that last few months of getting that divorce finalised. She was amazing through that, to be fair.
Terry, this has been such an awesome episode. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you feel like the listeners should know about you or the Dope Man Up?
Pretty much just what we've said. Obviously, I'm smashing it on Facebook. I think I've got nearly 200 likes in 24 hours. Podcast is going quite well. It's an open forum, and I'd love to, anyone that would want to voice their opinion on it, to just get in contact with me through DMs or Instagram or wherever, because it is going to take off pretty well. I'm determined for it to take off, and I think if you're determined, I'm sure yourself were determined to get your Before You Kill Yourself podcast out there, and now it's doing tremendously well. So it's like, I think if you're more determined to make it happen and more focused, it's gonna be a movement rather than a
I love it. And then plug all your things. Where can people find it? All the things.
Instagram is @tdunk87, because I like still having that personal touch rather than making it a business account kind of thing. So my Instagram's @tdunk87. Facebook page is Don't Man Up. You'll find it. Don't Man Up podcast is available now on Spotify. It had to show up at first, but now it's showing up in search bar. Apple Podcast again, Don't Man Up, and I've in process of creating the website where it's going to include me written blog and stuff at www.don'tmanup.co.uk.
And then last question, I ask this of all my guests, because I always imagine there's one person listening in who may be on the precipice of ending their life.
Yeah.
Before you kill yourself, what would you say to them, Terry?
Don't do it, please. I touched on this on a video yesterday, what I released on my Don't Man Up pages. When you start feeling like you want to end your life, and then I nearly did it twice, you feel like you're a burden. You're not a burden. You will hurt more people by killing yourself and committing suicide than you will by reaching out to them to help you. You will just pass your hurt on to somebody else. Believe me, I experienced that with my dad. So you are not a burden on anybody. Do not kill yourself. Even if it's a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, a bad year, it will get better if you want it to get better. But you've got to be uncomfortable to change that position, which is why you are looking at ending your life. So use that as a platform for change, and just keep believing in yourself, because you're never, ever going to be a burden to anybody by speaking out.
Terry, thank you so much. Thank you so much to listeners.
My pleasure, mate.
Remember, this podcast is not a substitute for you going to get help, for you calling the 1-800-SUICIDE or the 800-273-TALK. There are also international numbers listed in every show notes. Go check out the Dope Man Up podcast. And you can always go to thrivewithleo.com for one-on-one coaching with yours truly. Let's get to tomorrow together. Thank you so much, Terry.
No worries. Thank you.
And just a quick reminder, BetterHelp is not a crisis line and wants you to start living a happier life today. So go to BetterHelp, HELP.com/Leo and enjoy your 10% off today. Today, you can start your journey to being happy, to achieving your goals, to feeling heard and connected. You can start communicating now. It's worldwide, and you can join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional now. Go to betterhelp.com/Leo to start your journey today.